Okay, my name is Eric Smythe. I'm a huge fan of the Poker Guys. I watched every episode. My name used to be Eric Smythe 14. It used to be Still Trying to Help before before that account got banned, got terminated because I posted too much. I used the super high roller bowl. I posted the super high roller bowl and it was copyrighted and it got banned. But I've always been a huge fan of Poker Guys. I told them I'd make a reaction video. So this guy is for you. This video is for you. Johnathan Levy.
Today on the breakdown,
I love you
it's
guys.
just another 100K buy-in featuring Makita Badzikowski on the bubble. No big whoops. Don't get too excited. Your heart rate should just be a steady beep, beep, beep. And that is what the heart sounds like. I know medical doctors. I've met them before, so don't come at me. Don't at me, bro. On the breakdown with Grant Dennison and Johnathan Levy.
Grant Dennison and Johnathan Levy.
Wow, you just hit a wall there. It felt like you were going to go somewhere with that. And maybe you talk about like the medical industrial complex or something. That seems like up your alley to talk about. I don't know. What happened?
No, that was actually, it wasn't that I didn't have that material potentially there. I saw it all and decided to, sort of be counterintuitive and end in an abrupt way because I don't really do that. I usually go on too long, if anything. So I decided to go on too short this time because I've never really done that. I'm always trying to keep it fresh.
You got to zig when they expect you to zag.
I'm going to watch
Exactly.
this
Unless you're the
1.5x.
receiver, that works well.
Well, it depends on who you're talking about. If we're talking about the cornerback, then you did well. If we're talking about the quarterback, then you did poorly. You see, football is life, I guess.
Nice. That's a Ted Lasso reference, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't mean to, but yes, it is.
Great.
I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I see sports as being very terrestrial.
All right,
they say what a great rapport we have, and we're really
Poker as
going it
well,
off
all hobbies.
right now.
I love God so much. I love Jesus Christ.
well, to be honest, something
I hope you guys can find more Jesus Christ before you die. Look into him. He's the most hated person of all time
your response.
because he would expose evil.
I couldn't hear what was going on for a second. So
Oh, okay. Well, then
I used to play poker all the
Everything is
time. I'm
fine.
a winning
Yeah, but
player. I'm
I
up
think I do not
lifetime.
disturb, bro. I
I
don't know if that'll help.
prefer to let the AI overlords hear everything that I
I like this chat here in the intro. I'm going to play
say,
the whole
so
thing.
they know I'm a good person when they decide who goes to heaven.
I mean, first of all, they hear everything.
Wait,
Put that thing
wait.
on do not disturb, bro. I
I
don't know if that'll help.
prefer to let the AI overlords hear everything that I say, so they know I'm a good person when they decide who goes to heaven.
I mean, first of all, they hear everything you say no matter what you do. Please.
That's quite
I
something.
just want it to be clear that I'm opting in. I think there's something
Yeah.
there to be like, hey, guess what? I'm okay with you. You're okay with me. We're chill. We're chill.
I think I have AI watching me right now.
I get it. I get.
I feel like I'm being watched by humans and AI and everyone.
Is that how you are with the
And that's how I like it. If I don't want to be watched, I can leave my phone in the other room and go pray at the park or whatever. I like being watched.
like, hey,
It's fine.
I'm just living in this little corner and I don't want to bother you, man. That you think that cockroach doesn't get stepped on /
If a
killed?
cockroach could actually convey that to me, I'd be like, you know what? Good point. If you promise not to like fuck with me when I'm sleeping or
don't
scare
fuck with
me,
you.
These guys are best of friends.
yeah. If you're just gonna chill, I'll
gonna
even
be
bring you
ugly.
some little pieces of bread
No,
or something.
that's
What
a
do cockroaches
terrible
eat?
idea.
Bread? Do they eat bread?
I love it when they disagree.
Any-
Iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another. Proverbs chapter 27,
any
verse
food
17.
of any kind.
They will eat bread. You're telling me.
Yeah, oh yeah, they'll eat bread. You don't,
Okay.
dude. You would kill that cockroach so fast. I've seen you kill. How many things have I seen you murder in the 14 years that I've known you? And obviously not people. I'm not including people when I say this.
You don't
just,
include that.
Not,
Don't
just
include that.
non-people. Just
Yeah.
non-people murders.
So murdering is unrighteous, killing is
many-
righteous. Like if you kill someone in war, that's not
Have
murder.
I seen you kill living things? It's got to be. I don't know, hundreds at least.
Sure. I'm sure that
I like both of them. I do like Johnathan more if I had to pick. Jonathan's a bit more nerdy and stuff. This one more left brain dominant, and then he's a little bit more right brain dominant. But they're both very, 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 very similar people.
you might have seen me go on like a kitchen ant killing spree once.
I probably have.
Yeah.
And maybe other things.
Have you ever
Other
killed a bunch
living
of kitchen
things.
ants? Those little tiny ants that get in your kitchen?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. I'm like the Punisher when it comes to
Yeah.
those things. I'm like, come with me if you want to live, is another ant saying to that ant, but it's too late because I've already killed them both. Because you
Yeah.
have to kill them, otherwise they just all come in. They're just like, hey, I heard the message, man. I heard there's a big party going on up here, a
Yeah.
big food party. You got it. It sucks. I actually don't like doing it, but I'm like, oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry, ants. I try not
Yeah.
to kill things. I get worms.
It's quite the
in Puerto
intro.
Rico sometimes, just crawling across my floor. Like once a day, I'll see a worm. And I just like put it outside every time. I don't kill the worm or anything. I don't want to.
Yet
kill
you
these bugs.
do eat meat, right?
Yeah.
So what's that? What's going on there, man? Where's the moral compass?
It's a little different, don't you think?
Because you didn't kill it.
Yeah, it's already dead versus it's alive right in front of me, and I would end its life.
Speaking of
I
industrial
understand-
complexes, who's buying into that one and perpetuating it, huh?
I understand there's moral ambiguity with all this stuff, and you could even say there's some conflict there, but it's not the same thing either to physically end a life versus eating something that's already dead, right?
The life
Those
of a
are
worm.
different.
The life of a worm. Are you one of those equivocators who thinks like the life of an ant is worth the same thing as the life of a human?
Yes, I think I think the life of an ant is worth the same as a human baby, not a normal human. So more.
What?
Worth more. If I could kill you or an ant, that wasn't in my kitchen at least, I would have to kill you just based on my own moral code.
If I was in your kitchen, but I won't go in the kitchen.
Okay, this is
I'll stay in the
sarcastic.
dining room. And then,
But I feel like you're going to tell other people about the kitchen and the food in there, and it's going to be the same problem. So I got to end you, buddy. And if I could just put you outside, I would. But you're heavy.
They're obviously joking here. It's scary though if you don't know if you don't pick up on all the
You just had a
sarcasm.
kid. It's not your fault.
thank you. I appreciate your words.
It can be scary, I don't see these guys as pro-lifers or abolitionists or anything, so that could be scary. I made an atheist named Tom at the casino, and he thinks a mice and a lion are the same, and he even goes as far as to think that like a polar bear and a human are the same. He has complete doubt of the supernatural realm, so he's atheist, very atheist. Scary stuff.
Bad's hand, and we've done a lot over the course of the breakdown, but it's been at least a year. It feels maybe longer.
Oh, it feels like a basic eternity, and I miss my Makita. Where is my Makita? You've heard me complain about it.
If anybody watches the video,
but I think that sarcasm was actually pretty obvious. I just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I missed it.
100K. He is like
obviously the humans are worth more than an ant. Everyone would know.
Coming out of his shell, he used to be kind of like buttoned up, like Soviet bloc. I'm quiet because I don't want to be oppressed guy.
And I would actually argue, in my worldview, that the babies are actually worth more than the adults. A lot of the times, because the adults have a lot of mistakes, and the babies are innocent.
He's wearing like a weird like yellow like I'm gonna box somebody hoodie. He's talking through his river decisions in like a Negrano way. Yeah, it's all different.
That's cool. Good for him. Yeah. Get out there, Makita.
Yeah, we've all been waiting for it, Makita. We knew you had it in you.
I love it when people talk through their decisions, myself included, where you're just like, I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't think it almost ever costs you anything to do it. Oh, no, they can hear my thought process in this very particular spot. It's fine, almost always. I love doing it. It helps me, but I love listening to other people do it too. Yeah. It's just fun.
Yeah. That's part of why Negrano became such a sensation, right? Because he was the guy doing that back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. Phil Hellmuth too in his own way, his own thought process.
In a far less jovial, fun way.
I'm just going to trap you with the nuts.
Yep.
Okay, Phil, we get it.
First, you have to have the nuts. It's not that easy. Okay. We're on the stone bubble of 100K. So serious money on the line. 160K is the minimum.
Wow.
What did you say? 3.8 million is first?
Yes, sir.
I've been on the stone bubble before. I had to shove queens for 2 big blinds. It was pretty terrifying, but I said I didn't drive all the way over here to main cash. I'm not going to fold
entries
queens.
in 100K. It's a big deal. We got Makita Badzikowski. We have a player who's not at the table, mentioned by Randy Liu and I think Ali Najad, who is very short. They're like, Makita opens queens under the gun. They're like, Makita probably doesn't want to mix it up too much because of X player at this other table. So there must be a guy with like 2 blinds or something. So we're in a very serious bubble situation.
Okay.
Badzikowski has 2.5 million at 40K big blind, so he's not at risk, right? But he's probably doesn't want to
nice
call a 5
visual
bet all in
here.
with queens at this point.
I would guess he's only calling 3 bets with queens most of the time.
I think we're going to find out. I think we're going to.
I don't know what happens in this hand, obviously.
So he's got just over 60 bigs. He opens the queens under the gun to 80K min open. Seems fine. And we've got a character at the table named Ossi Katola. He's from Finland. He's come out of nowhere. We don't know anything about him, except that his first live tournament result on Hendon was from November of 2024. We're recording this in January of 2025. And he has a bunch of 6-figure entries, and he's already racked up over 4 million in earnings or something.
Just
like
a little under, like 3.9, yeah.
And he's loosely mentioned as a Finnish pro online, but there's not details on him. We don't know if he's an online crusher or just a cash player who has started playing tournaments. We just don't know.
We don't know. He has like 5 scores total on Hendon, but almost $4 million in earnings. So it's impressive in its own way.
He's in the long line of the Finnish psychos, I think, starting with
Zygmunt.
Cool.
Is he one of those? Okay.
Yeah. He looks like a pretty young guy, so he's relatively new. He's got the same stack as Bads. He's got 2.5 million. I hope he doesn't mind being called Bads, by the way, because I'm doing it. I like it.
How could he mind? It's Bads Lands. Get it?
Yeah.
Bads.
Didn't they make a movie of that game that was not well received?
It's called Borderlands.
Oh,
and
close
it was
enough.
not well received, but Kate, what's her face, made a lot of money for being in it. Jack Black, Kevin Hart. I mean, let's go. Who doesn't want to see that movie?
That's called Jumanji, baby. Jumanji. Jack Black and Kevin Hart.
Right.
The first Jumanji, by the way, was kind of enjoyable. I kind of enjoyed it.
I turned it off.
I watched the original Jumanji recently, last year. I think I bought it full price. It's kind of a scary movie. It's not that scary.
As soon as they go into the video game, that's when you smoke weed, right then. And that makes it more fun.
I see that.
I've actually never smoked in my entire life.
That could be all right. Anyway, they're going to make more Jumanji, so don't worry, Grant.
I am not worried. I need more Dwayne Johnson content. I need him to play the same character every time. That's what I need.
Okay, well, you're going to get it, so don't worry.
Thank you.
All right, back to the hand.
So we've got the same stack. They're both
I'm a paranoid schizophrenic. I like movies where
just
I'm
over 60
paranoid.
bigs.
Yep.
Ossi Katola is going to reveal
I love Alice in
type of a
Wonderland.
Finnish psycho he is on the bubble, where he doesn't cover Badzikowski, I don't think. They're close enough that I guess maybe Ossi knows that he has like 1 blind more than Badzikowski, and if this goes really poorly, he still has a chance to like make it through the blinds and can make the bubble money. I don't know. But he 3-bets the 5-3 of hearts to 210K from the cutoff over an under the gun open on the stone bubble. So this is almost
I'd be folding it
disrespectful to
here.
Badzikowski. This is like what you do to the guy who's clearly scared on the bubble at your $500 tournament. You're like, you can't do shit about this. I know that you don't want to tangle with me right now.
Right.
Sorry, buddy. I just don't care.
Actually, I really like the race now that I think about it.
That's what
Because the
Katola
stone
is saying
bubble
to
thing.
Badzikowski right now.
Yeah, that's cool. If there's a dude somewhere else who's got 2 blinds, it's going to put Makita in some weird spots right away, right? Like here we are, we're already in a weird spot. Not that weird. We're not going to fold queens yet, but there's an implication, especially if Aussie is a very aggressive thin, which I'm guessing he is, and I'm guessing Makita knows this. That like it isn't like, oh, good news, we can call this and probably not have to put in most of our stack by the river if we want to get to showdown. Like the implication is, I'm going to be firing away on most streets most of the time. So do you really want to even start this up? You could just get out right now, fold your ace queen or ace jack suited or whatever it is, and get the hell out. Right?
It's so fun to watch the bubble dynamic play out at this high roller, right? Because everybody's experienced it who plays tournaments, but it's like, where do you draw the line? 5-3 of hearts is probably not a good enough hand. If we're gonna try to bully the bubble against competent players, which obviously Makita is, we probably should have a line of what hands we're doing it with. We should have some sort of blockers. We should have some sort of positional understanding of the situation. But maybe it's okay just to go pure psycho in every spot. Maybe it's overthinking it to think Makita Badzikowski is good. We can't do this. But maybe the thing that works on the bubble of the main event at the World Series of Poker, where if you have the chip at the table, you can literally open 100% of hands and be profitable. Maybe that works here too, even against these players.
Maybe. Also, the fact that Makita opened under the gun makes Aussie's 3-bet look stronger, right? Like
Yes.
Makita, like you always want to attack weak ranges, not strong ranges when you don't have it, if at all possible. But this makes your range look better. And if this is a spot where we're saying to ourselves as Aussie, like, I mean, I'm going to make him, he's going to have to put in a huge amount of chips to be able to get to showdown here. So my range is going to look strong all the way. Even if he knows I'm a psycho, I'm attacking Makita Badzikowski's under the gun range. Like, that's a tight range, probably.
And I mean, there's literally one hand that Badzikowski is comfortable with right now in this exact scenario, and it's hard to have aces, right? So there's a lot of value there. It's just like 5-3 of hearts. Is that? Should we be doing this?
I mean, probably not. We should probably have King 5 of hearts probably plays way better as we have a blocker. We have an overcard to some of the hands that would call us. We're not connected, but I mean, Ace 5 of hearts obviously makes a lot of sense. Any kind of ace in our hand makes, I think even unsuited probably makes more sense than 5-3.
I think it's fine.
But maybe there's a secondary subtext happening here, which is like they're fighting for control of the table on the bubble and for the rest of the tournament to some degree too. A little bit. I don't know. Makita's not a guy to just mix it up like a psycho. He's much more thoughtful than that. And I don't mean thoughtful. He's also probably tighter than that. Like he's not going to just. I wouldn't expect Makita to have 5-3 of hearts if the positions were reversed and be raising here. But maybe Aussie's like, I just want everyone at the table to understand just how bad this is going to be for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that works. That does work.
Absolutely, it works. It sucks to be at a
I think
table
this hand's going to play
at
well.
a big
We're
bubble
good.
where someone is, especially when 2 guys are just trying to win every pot, and you're sitting back and you only have like 14 blinds. I've been in this spot in the main event, 15 blinds, and you're just sitting there and you're like, I don't have any room to maneuver. Like, even if I shove, it's already been bet and raised. Like, they're calling some really high percentage of the time. Even if they don't love their hand, they're going to call a lot. Like, this sucks. I'm forced to wait to pick up a real hand, and I still have people behind me. Like, it's horrible. So in
case you guys didn't know, these guys are both winning players. They're up a
where
lot.
the buy-in is bigger.
They're
The
very
bubble
good
is bigger.
players.
These guys have more money, probably, than like your average main event person on the bubble. But still, the money's so much bigger. And
It's a bigger buy-in. This is probably very meaningful to these players.
I would think it is. Like if Aussie didn't think this was meaningful, he probably wouldn't attack it. Right?
Yeah. So he makes it 2-10 with the 5-3 of hearts.
Okay.
And to his credit, like, Badzikowski probably doesn't even consider raising with queens, right? Like, what are you really gonna? I guess if you are trying to wrest control from the other guy who's trying to have control, but like, why do that with queens when what are you gonna do if you get shoved on? You're just gonna fold, I guess.
I mean, if we're 4-betting queens, we should call it off. We should only be 4-betting against the guy who we plan on calling it off against. I think in this spot specifically, right? Otherwise, we should call. We have a surprisingly strong hand. We're also out of position, which makes the 4-betting a little tougher potentially to play. If he flats our 4-bet and now we're out of position, just harder. It's hard either way, but at least we kept the pot smaller. We've got way more.
No, when the stacked pot ratio is very small, the position isn't as big of a deal.
We can see the flop. There's a lot of flops where we might just dump queens pretty quickly. Maybe not on the flop, but if it comes ace, king, X, we might check fold. We might call once, but we won't put a lot more chips in. This gives an opportunity to get some more information. I think mostly I'm just calling here unless the guys. If I know this guy's.
And it's funny that they say that this is why 5-3 suited. This is one of the reasons why 5-3 suited is better than king 5 suited, is because king 5 suited you have blockers, but you're also blocking the
Constantly.
when you have an ace. Let's say you have an ace in your hand. You're actually blocking the ace X flops.
Going with it, but
With 5-3 of hearts, you could get those ace X flops and you could take it
I
down.
think it's a pretty much obvious call.
It just once again, as we've seen over and over again in poker,
It's kind of some advanced
it shows
stuff
the power
there.
of aggression on the bubble. It's just like all the points you make sense, but it's like
It's not just blocking your opponent's hand, but blocking the actual deck itself. With 5-3, you're not blocking the
hand in poker. It's
deck.
just like we're just gonna call and hope it works out okay.
I know.
Blocking certain flop blockers. I call them flop blockers.
Yeah, but that's what happens. Badzikowski calls, and that's what I would do. We're 60 blind effective here. There's like a very small stack somewhere, probably multiple small stacks.
I like the
But in
call.
particular one that is like notable to the announcers.
Are you going with kings here, or are you just calling kings also?
I don't know, man. It might be the same situation.
I think I'm more apt to just go with kings. For the metagame implications as much as anything else, I don't want to only have like 1 or 2 hands that I'm 4-betting in a spot. Like I feel like we can 4-bet ace king a little bit more than queens because we've got such good blockers. But I mean, it sucks. It all sucks because if you get crammed down, you really want to. Like kings, you can call with at least pretty comfortably, even though sometimes you're screwed. But whatever. Like that's unlikely at least. Like queens, there's a lot more bad things. Ace king is a problem, and that it's a flip.
I feel like calling is better
We
with
don't
the
love seeing it in
ICM.
this spot. We'll take it, but we don't love it. Obviously, kings and aces are also be there. That's a lot more combos than kings have to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, we could decide to 4-bet queens and also 4-bet our like normal 4-betting range that's not on the bubble, like add in a couple ace wheel suited type hands.
Yeah.
But then we have to call off with queens because we're gonna
Absolutely.
Either way,
I think I'm going with kings here. against a guy who I have a suspicion is very aggressive.
I mean, he's got a Finnish flag next to his name. You got to go with.
Quite frankly, I don't
just
know.
the rule.
So.
No, kings. I said kings. Yeah.
Oh, but you got to go with kings. Yeah.
Calling,
Queens we
raising.
have to call. Maybe we're just
that's
wrong. Maybe we have to go with queen. Stupid. Fuck it. Right now we're calling.
Well, Mikita Badzikowski goes for the call, which feels easy compared to everything else. It's just like
So easy.
we just get to be exploited a little bit. You know, that's just how it is. That's just the way it works in the situation where we're under the gun. That's why under the gun is the worst position.
Come play with us on Clubs Poker. They have tournaments, they have ring games, and a 100% bonus if you use the code PokerGuys or use our link in the description.
It is a lot of fun on clubs. I've been playing on clubs. I've been
All I want is no
genuinely
rig.
impressed by their software.
That's all I care
They have
about.
great games all the time, and redemptions go direct to your bank account. There's no crypto involved, none of that BS. It's a US-based company. Come play with us on clubs. We'll see you there. 520K in the pot.
Sounds like fun.
Flop
To
is
be honest.
ace of clubs. Oops. 4 of spades. 9 of spades. Two spades out there. Obviously, the ace looms large.
Yeah.
See, that's what I mean. When we have an ace in our hand, we're going to block great flops like this.
Sucks for bad.
We want the ace of clubs on that board. So hopefully
how
we
we-
can bet and take it down
Win
with
this
the
pot as
5-3 here.
Badzikowski. We need this guy to have jacks and just shut it down. That's like the only way we win, right?
Well, it goes check. So
Amazing.
let's talk about Aussie Katola checking back on this
Whoa.
flop because I think it's fascinating.
I think we're going to represent the ace with the check here.
Because he actively chose to 3-bet the 5-3 of hearts. He got a flop
We're repping like aces now when we check
that
back
should
here.
maybe not favor him in the
Aces with a
Jack's position,
spade.
but certainly he has a lot of strong hands.
That's what we're checking with.
And he has a gut shot.
This is a brilliant check. I don't know how I feel actually. Personally, I would bet small and then check back the
So,
turn, and that's
There's
probably horrible.
a little bit of an
idea,
escape valve in
maybe.
case he has to continue
Right.
on further streets.
Yeah.
So what's your best guess as to Aussie's plan here and his thinking behind it?
To be clear, I do not know what he's going to do on 4th and 5th Street yet. I have not seen the hand. So it's really a guess. I'm very surprised he doesn't bet this. Maybe he thinks Badzikowski is going to play more face up on the turn. Like if Badzikowski has a hand like queens, he's going to check again. But if he has a hand with an ace in it, he's more apt to bet. I don't know if that's really true though. It's Badzikowski, right? He's not going to play super face up. He's probably checking most of his range on the turn. And if he bets, by the way, he might be betting the parts of his range that not this hand, but that a lot of our range can actually beat potentially. It's hard to know. So I'm very surprised. Maybe he just thinks this isn't as favorable a flop as
So I guess Grant has seen the hand
We
and
I
Johnathan
think because it's ace
hasn't.
high. Mikita's got a lot of. I mean, what does Mikita have in his calling range here? Maybe ace jack suited, ace queen, and ace king. Does he have any other aces in his hand?
Maybe ace 10 suited.
Maybe not though. He might just dump it in this exact spot. If there's a 2-blind stack, but maybe not. Maybe just calling against the crazy guy and like let's see a flop too. Yeah, you were deep enough. He could really call that. It sucks to play out of position, but whatever.
My thought is that Aussie he might be fancy play syndroming a little bit, but I think he might be thinking that Bads is pair heavy. He has a lot of hands that are like 10s through queens, maybe some 7s and 6s and stuff like that a little bit. And he's trying to like do a good job of representing like his ace wheel 3-bets and his ace queen and ace king hands. And he's thinking like, I would check those on this flop a lot of the time because there's not a ton of.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Right. Yeah, you bet tiny with your ace king and like you mostly get folds in theory. I don't know if in reality that's true when you're playing against Mikita. If he's got like a pair in his hand that's big, he's probably calling once.
Yeah.
If we bet small. So I am surprised still that he doesn't do it just to start to define the hand, define his own range, even though it would be like a sneaky thing to do because of his actual hand, and define Mikita's. I'm still a little surprised, even with what you just said, and I understand the idea of, maybe we're checking back our good aces here. Maybe we just have a lot of aces, and so because we have so many, we're actually checking our aces because ace king and ace queen make up a small amount of them instead of a big amount of our aces. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, and he might think that he's checking back a set of aces too because he's like, I have the board crushed. Like, let's hope something good can happen here.
We can always represent massive strength later in the hand. We still can absolutely have a set of aces, like you're saying, right? We much more so. Mikita can have it, but he's less likely, for sure. So we can decide to be strong later. We can raise later if we want. If Mikita decides to put in a bet with his ace jack or something like that and make it very hard on him anyway. So maybe that's part of the idea. I don't know. Like we still have to put in chips to win this pot unless we're going to spike a magical gutter. We're still going to have to do it. So I would have always thought on this board he was betting.
Yeah, I would have thought so too. But it's a very interesting check back. That's what he does. He obviously.
Yeah, very interesting check
plays
back.
later.
I agree.
And he's obviously very successful, right? So he knows what he's doing. So this is interesting.
Turn is the jack of hearts. So now ace of clubs, 4 of spades, 9 of spades, jack of hearts.
Okay.
All right, Badzikowski, how are you assessing the situation? The jack is not necessarily a good card against the check back range.
Nope. Ace jack, which was already there anyway, is beating us. It feels
I'm definitely checking queens
better
here.
about his.
You could bet one big blind. I think would be no. You can't bet one big blind here. You could bet one big blind.
And not that we're going to try. Bluff menu, but
Check
really
it.
jack is of course the problem. That really could have checked that flop, really could have 3-bet, and now is beating the shit out of us, right? Not great.
Yeah, if I'm Badzikowski on the flop and it goes check, I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm either losing a lot, but really what I don't want to see is a jack or a 10. Like those are the two cards I most don't want
Those
to
are
see.
the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, those hands have zoomed in front. And so jacks are now beating us. It's not great. I think we just have a very clear check once again here. We want to keep the pot small anyway based on our hand and the board in the situation. Feels like a clear check.
Badzikowski bets 100K.
So it's 2.5 blinds. So he's playing super small, almost like a blocker bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
like
that was my second
like,
bet. Second
hey.
pick. You could deny some equity with this, and it's also kind of a pseudo
Let's get the showdown
blocker
really
bet.
cheap.
Hey, buddy,
do
can we
that.
just chill on this? Can we just chill for a bit on this guy?
Yeah.
Can we just like
Okay.
not do this?
That's another way. I mean, checking, often we're going to see a bigger bet than that on the turn, right? So, and if he's thinking he's going to call that bet
Exactly.
anyway.
So he's
this is
right
like a
about
cheaper way to
that.
go. And it's going to be hard for Aussie to raise him with most hands, right? Because Mikita can have jack, of course. So if Aussie has ace, or jack, he can raise. If he has ace, jack, exactly, I guess he could raise that too if he wanted to. But I don't know if he's raising any of those things in practice, but he could. But maybe Mikita thinks like, I can find out where I am a little bit. I don't think Aussie's going to have weird bluffs here. Now that I'm betting, since I can have jack so easily and even ace jack suited, there's things I can have here that are never leaving. So maybe he's just trying to, I think this is his way. It's like you check to get to showdown cheap, but I think he's betting to get to showdown cheap.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And now you're Aussie.
Right.
So he's bet a fifth of the pot. And we have the 5 high, and we 3-bet pre-flop, and we had this big plan, probably.
I actually think it's a
I'm just
little
gonna
big. I think we should go with 7th
No, right,
of
that
the
can't be
pot.
the
1.5
We're never
bigs.
So
folding.
what's the plan? How are we going about this?
Okay, again, I don't know what Aussie really does, but I think the plan should be some version of call here and look to bet and or raise rivers. Like, be aggressive on the river. It's going to look the strongest, which I love. Once in a while, that magical gutter slides in and we actually get there. That's amazing if it does. But a raise now after the check is weird, and I don't know that we're going to fold out top pair so easily. Maybe we will. Maybe not. But if we call here and
I would
raise the
just
river-
call. I don't know what to do, though. But
Nikita has jacks.
Shoving is
exactly, or aces
interesting.
exactly. Maybe ace jack. It's going to be really hard for him to hold on. But ace queen, I think ace queen's more have to hold on if we raise now.
I don't think
than
we
later.
should.
So I like just a call now. It's also cheap. We get to see what Nikita does on the river. If Nikita bombs the hell out of it, we can just fold. That's okay too.
Yeah.
Don't shove here.
All right, that's what he does. He calls.
Cool.
The pot is 720. Okay.
It's a call.
The river makes Aussie's story a little harder, but maybe a little bit more believable. It's the ace of
Ace?
hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's ace of clubs, 4 of spades, 9 of spades, jack of hearts, ace of hearts. Makita's got queens.
We're
He
oh
has
my
5 high.
goodness.
So how do you want to do this as bats? Should we try to go for a little value against 10s exactly? Or like
come
a weirdly
on.
played jack 10 suited?
No, we should not. If we bet again,
1.5
those
bigs.
hands are folding a lot,
You'd
aren't
think.
they? With the ace pairing, and we bet again in a 3
Bet 2
pot, we open
bigs.
from under the gun. We have so many trip aces here. I don't think we should bet. I think it's very hard to get value. If we're betting to fold out kings. We're not betting, I think, to get called by 10s or a random jack.
I strongly disagree.
I think we should check. We sometimes have the best hand. We sometimes don't. It's unclear. Like, maybe Aussie has like king jack suited or something like that. Like,
We're betting
jack
2
10
big
suited, and we
blinds.
just get to win. It just goes check, check, and we win. Maybe he's got 10s and it goes check, check, and we win sometimes. Maybe we can try and pick off a bluff, depending on what it looks like and what we want to do. I don't know. We got a really good bluff catcher. I don't know. Is Aussie even going to bet kings for value if we check? I don't know. Probably not. I'm not sure.
We're gonna bet 2 big blinds, and if we get shoved on, we're gonna flip a coin and
I
call
think it's a
it
check.
fold.
What do you think?
That's my first thought too, but Badzikowski finds the third path.
Really? The
He
third
bets
path.
60K into 720.
So is he?
That's exactly what I would
thing-
do.
He's trying to have it all, right? He's trying to get called by worse because they just pocket 10s or a jack will just throw in 60.
Yeah, it seems obvious to me. It's called micro
has to.
betting.
Yeah.
Unless it gets cute. But we can now talk ourselves into a call more obviously because we've induced sometimes now, right? So it's an easy, like he's going to we're putting more bluffs back into the
Yeah.
range by betting 60K if we get raised. Instead of we make a normal bet, we get raised, there's less bluffs there, right? That's what he's doing. What a third path. Wow. That's
Now
cool.
this puts a bit of a wrench into Aussie's plan, right?
I was playing a home game with Michael or MJ Gonzalez. He was Dan Underground's coach, and I made a bet like this
Like,
against Raja, and he said no matter what he says, it's terrible. But there had already been a lot of micro bets in the meta
Aussie was
at the time, and Lebradas does it as well. But it makes a lot of sense to me. I've written articles on micro betting. I wasn't able to write an article for MJ about micro betting, but he did ask me to write it for him.
probably.
But micro betting is a great play.
Okay, Bads is going to check and I'm going to bet 600K. Or Bads is going to bet 350 and I'm going to make it 1.2 million and see if he can call. You know?
Or Bads is going to bet, pot and I'm just going to fold.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we can call a raise.
this is a- Wrench.
But we could also fold
It's
a raise.
not that different than a check, really. I mean, except that Makita may talk himself into the
We have
fact
2
that
pair.
He's induced.
It adds a dynamic. It adds a dynamic to this.
There's missed spades. There's
A small.
he's good enough to have light 3 bets.
Like if Makita checks, though, it was going to be about the same either way, right? We were going to bet. I think we have to raise. Obviously, we're never calling and folding.
When we're against these psycho high stakes players, it's like you always have to give them credit for bluffs, and there's pot odds.
I mean, I guess we could just fold.
could just
but
fold. We could just fold.
We could.
It's just like
a
a
breakdown
pride
hand.
thing. It's a
I'm
pride
sure we're not
thing.
going to fold. It's a breakdown hand. Right? It's a pride
But
thing, right?
I think maybe more players need to find folds in spots like this. Because it's like the price gets.
I disagree. It's not 2011.
pride thing.
There's so much bluffing now.
Price doesn't matter.
I think folding is the worst play in all
5-5.
poker, but
It's
I guess calling out of position is pretty bad too.
just let it be. But maybe raising is the better play. Obviously, calling's not the play. So
Folding, you're laying odds.
I mean, it's all different depending on who you're playing against, of course, right?
Yeah.
But like sometimes calling with a bad hand with a good price really can work out when people bet that little.
I think 5-3 can find a fold
I-
here.
This very quick
but-
aside. It was in the cash game, admittedly.
I think we just dumped
It
the
was a 5 game. We
5-3.
got $5 into like 200 on the river, 3 ways. After the first guy checked, I called with jack high for $5, thinking like I'm good enough for the time. The other guy overcalled, and I still won the whole pot. So
Yeah,
obviously,
but
different
Aussie
situations.
has the
different
third
kinds
nut
of players.
low, so-
right, he can't call. Of course,
Yeah.
we were just saying sometimes you just have to fold him. Like if you're getting a good enough price, you just don't have to win that much. Is my point. But obviously, Aussie's never winning, like you're saying with this hand. So it's raise or fold. I'm inclined to raise here. Makita's just all he's done is put out 2 blocking bets. He's not shown any really big strength. He might have a bad trip aces. He might have a hand like kings or queens or a jack in his hand.
So these micro bets play as a
Might have-
quasi check.
Excellent.
The micro bet does not mean that it's a weak
you might
hand or
have-
anything like that. You could absolutely micro bet with the nuts. So
Jack.
at the highest stakes, you got to be careful with these out of position micro bets.
Of course.
He's so good at poker. You just gotta. I mean, you could shove, you could raise, you could fold, but personally, I think we just fold the 5-3 here.
There are not that many combos of those things. I think we're supposed to attack this. If we're not going to attack this, what the fuck have we been doing this whole hand? Like, what are we doing here if we're not attacking this?
Well, we're chasing a
Doesn't-
gutter, and we're
Yeah, it doesn't-
seeing
really
what
matter,
comes out.
right? Like,
Right.
just make the best decision at the moment.
Of course. But if our plan was to steal, and we thought Makita was a good guy to attack. He did a tiny bet on the turn and an even smaller bet on the.
We didn't do anything wrong at
Right.
any point with the
Let's hear it
5-3.
But we can't really interpret that at face value against a player as
Right.
elite as Mikita Bezikowski. He's one of the best tournament players in the world.
Sure, but some of the time it's going to be honest, right? Because if it's always dishonest, that doesn't work either. Makita's going to be somewhat balanced here, admittedly. But like we can have quad aces, we can have ace jack, we can have ace king, we can have ace queen in a play like this for sure. I think we probably raise all of those, right? Obviously quad aces, jack jack. I think we would raise that as well because what does
Yeah.
Makita have?
I think we have to raise jack jack.
Yeah, we need to have some bluffs. Boy, this hand's a good candidate for a bluff. This is probably a better candidate than most, right?
Yes,
'Cause what are we
yes.
gonna, I guess if we had jack 10, maybe that's a better candidate for a bluff because we block ace jack.
I think
but-
king queen is probably the best bluff. Blocking ace king and ace queen.
Oh, okay. We also block kings and queens, but
9-8
okay,
suited.
doesn't matter, I guess. Yeah, and also if we have jack 10, maybe that's a
9-8 suited's better. 4-5 suited's better. 3-4 suited.
candidate because we can just call for this price and chop/win enough of the time that it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Probably.
Sorry, something
Anyways,
else
5 high is a
right
pretty good
now.
candidate to raise. That's all I'm
The
saying.
thing that sucks for Aussie, which he has had a part in engineering post-flop, is that there's no longer the bubble threat. We can't really do anything about the bubble threat anymore.
Right,
Unless we want to do the most
right.
insane thing ever and jam like 2.3 million over 60K.
We don't want it. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
So
We can absolutely do that, but
he's going to call with all his
but no.
aces, which is he has too many of to do that. Right?
So at this point, like, we're playing a normal hand that's kind of
We could get some big folds, but
doesn't have anything to do with the bubble because Mikita's going to be okay no matter what happens, basically.
it's fat.
this is what I call a green versus green board.
It's so
Actually, it's more green
give up
versus
that
yellow.
part of the leverage when
Yeah.
you did three down with
Opalescence.
5 high against the under the gun range of a top player. It's very weird to have decided all this. Maybe he thinks this is going to be the best story he can possibly tell, but I hope so. I believe a raise must be incoming because he ain't going to call and it's a breakdown hand, so he must be raising, right?
There is. So I think it's an interesting thing to discuss before we talk about the size of the raise. How do we want to size it and why?
Yep, exactly. Okay, we want to look like we're trying to get called by trip aces, right? By like,
Yeah.
oh, we're strip aces. So we can go big because trip aces in theory probably have to call against us, right?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that like there's also the mindset that Aussie could have of like, yeah, I slow played a monster here. I want to make up for missed value, sort of.
Yep.
So like I can make it 1.2 million here, and it's reasonable. You know?
Yep. Also, if we had one of these super strong hands, we might go big.
I'm scared. I think we should
Let's
just
bluff here.
fold. But
And we want to get. So all that said, I think all the reasons, everything points to let's go big here in my mind.
I hear you. Aussie really trusts the story that he's telling, and he makes it 425.
Oh my god, this guy's incredible.
how about all in except for one chip?
Yeah.
This
That might get in his
guy's
head.
playing this hand so.
That'd be hilarious. Put him all in except for one chip, so he's more likely to call, which would make him more likely to fold. I think that'd be
He
hilarious.
3-bets 5-3. He checks the flop. I understand that just call on the turn, and now we're going small again. How much is in the pot when he makes it 4?
I'm sure he has great reasons for this, but I'm folding.
It's
for
780,
I think.
780 in the pot after Mikita's bet.
Wow, he's really saying
You got to look for
I've
live reads.
fucking got
maybe.
it.
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, the thing that's so crazy is, like you said, we've let the bubble pressure completely out of the
Yeah.
of pan here. There's no air pressure at all. Makita can call with his queens and be wrong, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's 11 blinds to find out how we're doing here. You know, the pots. Makita's getting a reasonable price here, right? He's getting like 3-1 almost.
There's got to be
Yeah,
gotta
and
be
I'd be calling here
a
with
psychological
queens.
metagame thing going on between these guys over the course of this tournament.
Probably, or maybe other tournaments as well. For
Yeah.
all we know. Okay, what do you think about this sizing? I know you know what happens, but for trying to get that out of your head, what do you think about this sizing?
I think it's fascinating because like let's take Bezikowski's actual hand right now, queens. This might be a significantly better chip EV raise than 1.2 million. We might get called at a frequency at 1.2 million that's slightly less than when we make it 425, but not enough less that 425 is far more profitable from a chip EV perspective.
Maybe. We have to be sure. I mean, we have to be sure that this folds out a hand like Jack, King Jack suited and stuff like that. If Makita can even have that, would Makita even have that? Would he have like a Jack that isn't Ace Jack here on this particular spot?
I don't know. I just
I don't know either. So maybe there aren't any Jacks to attack because obviously Ace Jack is not a good hand to attack since it's the nuts. So then what are we hoping he has that he's going to fold? Tens? Nines?
Tens, queens,
I guess
and kings. Tens, queens, and kings.
I guess Makita could actually have other pocket pairs lower than that too because we checked the flop and he got to bet the turn and we just called. So
Yeah, he's trying to
Makita
like, he's really trying to block
sevens?
with eights. You know,
I don't know. I mean, so maybe it's just a really cheap way to get showed out a bunch with eights. I don't know.
it could be. It really could be.
Yeah. I think you're right that this probably doesn't have 1/3 of the fold equity that 1.2 million would have,
Yeah.
or so. So that makes this a better bet than 1.2 million because you're getting some of that fold equity because the story is pretty strong when he goes.
Yeah, saving
Little.
money when you're wrong is important, and that's something I
Yeah.
don't factor
It's like
in
the
enough.
chip.
Smaller sizes.
Azikowski's mindset for a second. We bet small. Part of it is to induce, right? Now, maybe we're not calling with this part of our range to induce. Maybe we are. I'm not sure. I would think mostly not because we probably have a bunch of trip aces. But like we probably like it in theory that he doesn't go super huge when we're inducing.
Yeah.
Except it looks stronger, not weaker when he does it. So it's a better math price. It's a worse story price, if you will.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Makita goes through all of his time banks before making a decision.
Wow.
So
That's already awesome. That
yeah.
he's like really considering calling, clearly.
Yeah.
So
So
whatever he
he's-
does, good for him.
the stuff
I think it's
he
a
said
fine call. It's
when he's
not that
talking
big
to
of a
whoever
deal.
is like, I really hope you.
I'm a station though. I have very few big folds in my
Because
life.
that Aussie's capable of having kings.
Yeah.
and
Wow.
making this
With
raise.
a 60K bet. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, I guess I just can't beat any value, obviously. But you could just have two random cards, right? You could have two random
Right.
cards. That's what he says saying to Aussie. Yeah.
Wow. He's gonna.
I agree.
It really looks like he's going to fold for a very long time. He's like got the cards up. And he's like flipping through them. He's like, these cards, I keep looking at them. They don't get any better. He keeps saying stuff like,
I think he's taken for the brand. I think he snapped 10 called
but then
personally.
very near that last
I think he already called when he made the micro bet. He already called this raise size. He already thought about it.
end of
But when you put in all those time
time.
banks, it makes you look like you're thinking about stuff. And helps you get backers in the future. I think this is a pretty easy call for him.
Yeah, he did. I mean, we got the check back. He bet small. He did get the inducing.
Call.
It is a relatively great price from a math point of view.
It's a very easy call for me.
How many chips I have left point of view if I lose and if I'm wrong. He's getting a good odds thing. He doesn't need to have that much equity, like 25.
He's getting good odds. He says it like that's like a little thing. That's like it's a huge thing. Are you willing to if you're getting 3-1 on a call, that means you're laying 3-1 on a fold. And I use the sports betting analogy all the time. It's hard to make money laying 3-1, even if you got a guy like John Jones or Habib. Those are undefeated fighters. Sometimes you could lay like 6-1, 8-1, 10-1. It could be hard to make money.
As he said, it's hard.
In poker, you're laying 3-1.
Imagine
on a fold, and if you're right 95% of the time, then you're going to make money on the fold. If you're right 75% of the time, it's going to be break even.
You're beating at all,
and sometimes you think you're beat 78% or 81%, so you're making a little bit of money on the fold, but in reality, you're only beat 52% of the time, but you think it's 81. So you're losing a ton of money when you dump these hands. When you're only beat 51% of the time,
King Jack, I don't think raising.
And there's sometimes when you call, you're like, well, I think I'm gonna win 25% of the time, so I'll call. But meanwhile, you're winning 48% because your opponent is bluffing way too much, or you might even be winning 60% of the time. And he says, wow, how did he call that? And you're calling because of the pot odds, and then the times that you're winning 5% of the time, you can make up for it by the times you're winning 50% of the time. I know this is kind of advanced math.
I can see him doing it.
The pot odds is like the biggest reason why.
Also, to draw a line.
And he says it like, oh, the pot odds that's a thing too.
Not just for this tournament, but for future tournaments. Yeah. Like everything. Like I'm just not gonna let you do this to me forever. Like it's okay if you have it here. I need you to see that you can't just get me to fold queens just because you breathe on the pot. That's probably the most valuable part of this in some way.
That's the least valuable for me.
These guys.
Who cares? Who cares about your? Who cares about that stuff? You're on the bubble. You're trying to get through life. You're never gonna play with them again. Players can be dynamic, especially at the higher stakes. It's like I don't really care about what I'm showing down. We all know GTO pretty much. I mean, it's like if I eat different food, if I had something different for breakfast, I might have a different thought process. So I don't care about showing down stuff. We're all really good at the game. We know the fundamentals. It does it factor in a little bit, yes, but Johnathan Levy here is saying that's the most important thing. I think the pot odds are the most important thing.
I think
force your opponent to have a hand.
Probably played all these 100Ks that Aussie's been cashing in, which is 4 of them in like a month period. So they're probably playing these a lot.
This is a great video, though.
So drawing a line in the sand means Aussie may not attack Makita so much and attack other people in these spots, which would be much easier for Makita if Aussie's going to be more face up, right? Yeah. So there's such metagame value in this call, and it's cheap, and maybe we even win sometimes. That when I say all that, I'm like, oh, we have to call. We just have to.
And it was kind of unclear where Makita falls in this distribution.
It's a good call.
A player like Makita is going to have like a very specific range that he does these multiple blocker bets with, and I don't really know what that range is. So it'd be hard for us to make a distribution assessment on that.
I do. I absolutely do.
So let's just assume that he's high enough.
And when you have those micro betting ranges, you could throw in a bunch of medium hands, which is fantastic.
I mean, my guess is he's not because he's got so many aces.
Perhaps, but maybe he doesn't go double block with those.
Maybe you're right. Okay, got to be so.
He probably has a lot less aces than you think. There's 52 cards in the deck, and 2 of them are out there.
It's cool that he used all his time banks, so I kind of love that. He really put himself through the paces there. That's great. Good for Makita.
Yeah.
Good job.
And he might have been thinking with the time banks.
If Aussie just played this, quote, normally, i.e. bet the flop, bet the turn, bet the river if necessary, he's just going to win this so much more because he can put actual pressure on Makita's whole stack and bubble and $160,000.
I use those micro bets all the time. Johnathan actually read my comment. Every time I'm in bet, little baby, itty bitty bet, I have it.
All that stuff.
I used to clip that on my channel.
I mean, in a way, it's like a really baller move from Aussie to be like, who cares about the bubble, right? I'm just playing this hand as a super value hand. Deal with it,
I mean,
and if you have a big bankroll, the bubble is 2 buy-ins.
I mean, this guy has almost $4 million in cashes in 5 tournaments, and none of them are more than 120K buy-in. And his biggest cash is like, I think 2 million, or maybe it's 2.9, but I think it's 2 million. So he's been cashing a bunch in a bunch of places. By the way, in this tournament, he's going to cash for 1.2 million. He's going to finish.
Yeah, once I get that much money, I'm retiring.
Like, he's so committed to the story, and that's clearly been working for him in these high roller events.
I'm retiring way before that.
Even though it didn't work this time,
Yeah.
it's clearly working for him. And so maybe
Unless you have a lot of fun playing the game, then
that's
go
the
for
real
it.
thing. Like, all this bubble stuff that we feel works so well, maybe it doesn't work as well against a guy like me.
I don't really enjoy poker that much
I don't think it
anymore.
would in this exact situation, but we're not talking about this exact situation, really. We're talking about range versus range, and something that's more repeatable for Aussie. And telling the story has clearly been working for him. Telling these really good stories against good players who can put those stories together.
Yeah. Yeah, so he cashes for 1.2 million. What does Badzikowski do in this tournament?
He does pretty well. He gets, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like 400K, 500K.
Okay.
So not nearly as good, but not a min cash.
Okay. Cool hand.
Yeah, really cool. A great hand. Who suggested this hand?
Oh, yeah, Zach M. Sorry, Zach. Got you in at the end.
It's okay. Hey, you know what else we didn't do? We didn't even mention Clubs Poker and our Poker Guys code and the 100%.
Great video.
Our long-suffering intern is going to insert that, obviously.
Oh, of course
so
he is.
the people will have already heard that, and now they'll be like, what the hell is
Nobody's
Johnathan talking about?
Right. But luckily, they already saw that.
Okay, great video. I'm going to say a prayer for you guys really quick. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Lord, I pray for Grant and Johnathan Levy. Lord God, I pray for them to bless their lives, Lord God, spiritually and temporally. Help them come to greater knowledge of the truth. Lord God, help them and their family. Help them be pleasing to you in the supernatural realm. Help them in their lives. Help them, Lord. Help them, Lord. Help them, Lord. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.